Well, I'm delighted to be joined on this episode of the Celtic View Podcast by Caitlin Hayes, one of the stars of the Celtic women's team. Caitlin, you have just finished pre-season for the day, a hectic schedule, so thanks for joining us.
Oh no, thank you so much for having me.
Now, players, traditionally, pre-season's a time where they're maybe not quite looking forward to it so much. How have you found the preparations? Because obviously you've got a busy season ahead. Have you enjoyed being back?
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't the longest break I've ever had. I think we had 3 weeks altogether. So obviously it was a quick turnaround, but just glad to be back with the girls and refocusing and resetting for the new season.
And did you get a chance when you were off? Did you get a chance to go back home then?
Yes, so I went home for a couple of days and then went to catch up with some friends that are also playing football. So you only get a small amount of time to see each other throughout the year. So I was thankful for that time to spend with them.
It's funny, like previous seasons, the women's season has been running like kind of over the kind of summer, but now it's almost like running concurrently with the men's. So as you say, you don't really get much time off. I suppose given what happened at the end of last season, you'll be dying to get back because there's a big incentive coming up quite soon.
Yes, absolutely. I think with COVID and the pandemic and having that whole year of isolation or lockdown, I think I've had enough time by myself and with my family. Don't mean that to sound offensively, but I've had enough time without football. So now I'm just grateful for the 3 weeks rest, but now focused on what's to come.
And obviously, footballers are always looking ahead, but if I can just ask you just to reflect on your first season with Celtic, it couldn't really have gone much better, I'm guessing, given the fact that we finished second, we achieved Champions League football for the first time in the club's history, and you were an integral part of that.
Yes, it was just, I suppose before signing, I thought about how I wanted it to go and kind of set goals for myself and my team, and from that we've just obviously excelled in all areas, and so thankful for the season that's been, and I couldn't have dreamed it up better. But now we've obviously reaped the rewards of that and playing Champions League this season, but now it's all about just keeping our heads down and focusing on what's to come rather than what's been.
I suppose you've now set a benchmark in terms of the domestic football. You want to at least equal that, if not better that, get into the new season. But before that, you've got the small matter of Levante, who are a top Spanish team in the Champions League. I'm guessing as a footballer, again, you want to be testing yourself against some of Europe's best players, and that's exactly what you're going to be doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, like you just said, it'll be a test, and it's a test that thankfully we're already in training, working hard for to be prepared. And with Fran and obviously his background, hopefully he knows the tricks of the Spanish game better than we do. And obviously with the heat recently in Glasgow, we won't have any complaints when it's obviously going to be played in heat. So yeah, just excited for the opportunity, and it's what you dream of growing up, playing Champions League and having that opportunity. So yeah, excited for what's ahead.
And I suppose for people who don't know, you have a game against Levante, and the winners of that play the winners of, I think it's Rosenborg versus Minsk, and then the winners of that then progress to the next stage of the competition. But regardless, you'll have 2 Champions League games anyway, which again is great experience.
Oh yeah, I played Champions League before with a team in Cyprus, and it was a tournament like no other in terms of just the hype and the enjoyment phase of it, and just everything that encapsulates Champions League. So I'm just grateful to be back in and around that environment, and hopefully we can just excel and start where we finished off last year, which is with the ball rolling and hopefully getting the win, and yeah, just grateful for the opportunity. And
do you think then you'll be one of the players that maybe Fran will look to give that experience and let the other players, particularly some of the younger players that have never had anything like this, maybe some who haven't even travelled abroad with their respective countries, just to kind of talk them through the whole experience?
Oh yeah, I mean, I hope so, but naturally, I think the younger players are guided by the older players, so it's just kind of they just naturally follow, which is great. So it's all you've got to do is set a good example, and they're close behind anyway. So yeah, we're just all together as a team, I guess.
Now, obviously, you're in the middle of pre-season. In terms of looking ahead to the season, do you set yourself personal targets and goals that you want to achieve over and above or alongside the obvious ones that the team will set?
Yeah, I think it's important for as a player, as an individual, that you obviously are set on the team goals, but also what can you do as an individual to try and help the team best get to that team goal. And also keeping standards such as clean sheets and winning my 50-50s are always high up there, and maybe a goal or two. But definitely after last year, just trying to keep those standards and set the bar even higher, because obviously you always want to improve and you always want to do better, and you always feel like you deserve to, you must give the team everything you've got. So yeah, definitely some goals have been set, and fingers crossed, just continue where we picked up last season and keep going.
Because I guess obviously defenders, clean sheets are your first priority, but how did it feel when you opened your scoring account for Celtic?
Oh, it was just, it's beyond words. I dreamt about that moment for a very long time. Slight jealousy kicked in, because obviously I'd seen all my other teammates do it and the back line was scoring, and I thought, I'm gonna have to do something here, Caitlin. But I joke with the girls, but because it was an important goal, I say that it's worth 10. But unfortunately they're not giving me that much credit. But yeah, I'll take one, and hopefully it's just knocked down that wall now and it can just let the floodgates go, I suppose. That's what at least I'm hoping for.
Because I'm guessing one of the good things for last season, particularly when your family weren't able to come to the games, the coverage when the season resumed was excellent. It must have been great for them to be able to see the games and to see you in action. And obviously the way the season unfolded, it was so exciting right up until the last game. They must have been gripped watching from afar.
Yes, absolutely. Super thankful that this league has invested the money to allow us, my family, to watch, and all the other girls' family. But yeah, it definitely made for interesting phone calls, as my dad is almost like a coach, telling me where I was doing wrong and when I was doing right. So it has its pros and cons, but yes, more pros than cons. So definitely thankful for that. And obviously, as COVID slightly maybe gets lifted ever so slightly, they'll obviously have the chance to watch me in the hoops for the first time. And for that, again, I can't wait.
Yeah, because I mean, that must be, obviously for you and the rest of the players to be playing in front of a crowd, which will be fantastic. But the chance, as you say, for your family to get up here and to see you playing, even if you know at the end of the game your dad is still going to be giving you coaching tips regardless.
All dads do, right? All dads do. But yes, just I'm super excited, and I don't know who's more excited, him or me, to play in front of or to play for. So yeah, I just can't wait for that moment, and hopefully it comes sooner rather than later.
Now, I know I've spoke to you before about your own sporting background, but I just thought we'd catch up again. And because one of the things I was going to ask was in terms of the team that you supported growing up. I know you come from a rugby league family, so what would be your rugby league team?
Warrington Wolves. So being a northerner, it's heavily rugby league. So I grew up going to rugby league games, and watching Warrington Wolves. My dad would take me up and down the country. He'd pick me up from school on a Friday and we'd go. And as long as I'd be back for my football match on Sunday, that was my life.
Now, however, you are also a football fan, and a lot of fans will have already seen this wonderful photograph that was on social media last year of you wearing the hoops now, then a picture of you wearing the hoops when you were a child. So I'm guessing the Celtic's in your family, it's in your blood.
Yes, definitely. I love playing for the shirt. I've never really had that feeling before, in terms of putting a shirt on and you can just feel that it weighs more. The standards are higher, the expectations are higher, the quality of the shirt is so much more than anything I've ever worn before, and it comes with a pressure that I feel like last year I really enjoyed taking on. I enjoyed representing everything that shirt means and holds to so many people, and just grateful for the opportunity to do again this year, and thankful to represent this football club.
In terms of your football heroes growing up, was there anyone in particular that you aspired to be like or looked to in terms of how you admired them?
Well, I hate this question because I was brought up with rugby league, so footballers just weren't on my walls. I guess it was full of burly rugby men, and that's who I look to for inspiration, and just not even just because it's a sporting hero, but just because of their mindsets. There's a guy called Lee Breers who's a rugby guy for Warrington Wolves, and I just wanted to be him. Just the way he knew the game and the way he carried himself and the way he always picked up his teammates, and I guess that's kind of what my games led off, not necessarily in the terms of football, but just as character and a leader and just all the time, all in, I guess. So yeah, he would be it.
Do you remember what age you were, you know, when football became more than just kicking the ball about in the park with your friends, and either you were more interested in it or you realised that you had a kind of aptitude and an ability for it that you wanted to take it further?
I guess under 17s, when I first signed for Manchester United, I must admit I was more judo. I was better at judo growing up. I competed to quite a high level in that, but didn't like the individualized sector of judo, sitting by yourself, training, competing by yourself. I loved the idea of being with a team and having that cohesion and connection and chemistry as a group of girls. So under 17, so I was about 16, obviously. When I signed for Manchester United, I thought I really enjoy this sport and I'm going to give it my all. So everything kind of just sat on the back burner and football took over my life, essentially.
And one of the things I think fans are always curious about in any professional team, and music plays a big part in pre-match preparations and then post-match celebrations. Do you have anything in particular that you like to listen to just to get yourself in the right zone for the game?
It's going to sound peculiar, but "Move On Up" by Curtis Mayfield. I've always listened to that before a game. It started from when I was tiny. My dad had always put it on in the car, and I think it came from the film Bend It Like Beckham. So that's just kind of become this habitual routine of put that song on and you automatically enter a phase of mind that knows it's game day or knows it's training or knows that football's coming and 100% is about to be given. So yeah, that song is definitely up there.
Yeah, that's that is a good tune. What about post-match? Are you the dressing room DJ, or is someone else in charge of that?
I think I'm guilty of being the dressing room singer. There's a few Kate Nash foundations, Dream Catch Me by Newton Faulkner. Me and Kiva Keenan, a girl that used to play here last year, we were definitely guilty of standing on the physio beds and just getting the girls going. But new season, so hopefully I'll give off that role to somebody else and I can just play a back step.
And one thing I was going to ask you, obviously the European Championships during the summer, I'm guessing you were a keen spectator as England progressed to the final. Where did you watch the final and what were the feelings in that? Obviously ultimately disappointment for England. Yeah,
Jodie Bartle was more into it. She's a huge fan of football, and it's a bit embarrassing to say that I was just, again, backseat. I wanted England to win, obviously, just because it's my home country, but at the same time, stick the rugby league on, and I'm far more into it. But watched it with some of the girls over where we live, and it was just a good time to be together, be with each other, and yeah. Argue about the scoreline, I guess.
So I'm guessing that if England get to the Rugby League World Cup final, you'll be considerably more interested in that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I just yeah, it's what you grow up with, isn't it? So I automatically know it inside out. So yeah, passion's there for that, but football takes a back seat when rugby's on.
Obviously that's as a spectator, but your priority as a player, as football. How much, it's probably an obvious question, but how much are you and the rest of the team looking forward to going to Norway and playing in that Champions League game, hearing the music and knowing that you've kind of taken the club a step forward and, given the interest that the fans had towards the team, how much, people are going to be watching you back home?
Oh, I can't wait. I think it's one of those things that you can't necessarily put into words. It's just going to be a monumental amount of pride and hear the music, to wear your shirt, to be on that stage. And like I said, not just to play for yourself and name on the back, but to play for your badge and your teammates around you, that you made it there, and you'll do everything you can to stay on that stage for as long as you can. And obviously we know what it's going to be, a huge test, but like I said, we've been putting in the work during pre-season and putting in the work each and every day. So hopefully, like we did last season, we'll reap the reward of our hard work. But until then, we just keep our heads down and focus on each day and each training session.
Well, listen, Caitlin, thanks for joining us on the Celtic View podcast. We wish you and the rest of the team the best of luck, not only in the Champions League, but throughout the course of this season.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.